What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Draft Hub. And today we are going to be taking a look at my game picks for every game of week 2 of the college football season. Now, as I stated last week during this video, I did do my predictions a tad late. So I missed the Thursday and Friday slate of games, but I got every other game and I went 56-9 in the first week of the regular season of college football. So that's how our record stands after 1 week. 56-9. Not as good as I would like to. Of course, I would have wanted to go 65-0 with the remaining picks that I had, but be that as it may, that's completely okay. Let's get into the full slate of college football games this week. So this starts the full slate of me predicting every week of college football. As I did miss about, I would say probably like 30 games. I didn't do like week 0 and I didn't do Thursday or Friday of week 1. So I missed about 30, 35 games. So whatever. We'll see. Maybe at the end of the year, I'll go back and calculate which teams I thought would have won those games, and then I'd base the rest of the record off of that. But without further delay, let's get into the Friday games. We have 4 games on September 5th, which is the time I'm recording. I'm actually recording this at 7 a.m. on Friday. So these games will be later on today. We have James Madison at Louisville. I'm going to go with Louisville here on this one. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. I think this team is a force to be reckoned with in the ACC. James Madison is a good team, but I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up with Louisville and their offense. Again, I don't. If you guys don't know how these predictions go, there's so many games to get through that I usually just say a quick line about every. If the game is good enough to necessarily say a line about the game, then I will say it. I mean, the first couple weeks of the college football season, we get a lot of toss-up games here. Like, what am I really going to say about Penn State and FIU, really? But yeah, so we're going to move on to Northwestern and Western Illinois. Pretty brutal first game for Northwestern for the Wildcats. 4 Preston Stone, 4 interceptions. I fully expect him to bounce back. We are taking Northwestern in this one. Northern Illinois and Maryland. This is actually a pretty good game, I would say, of like decent-ish teams. Malik Washington, the true freshman, looked really, really good in week 1. Give me Maryland over Northern Illinois in this one. I do think that he is going to be an absolute stud for them. I hope he doesn't hit the transfer portal like after this year, but yeah, he looked like a stud week 1. So we're going to ride with Maryland yet again on this one. Moving down to Boise State and Eastern Washington, the Cooper Cup alma mater, but Boise State got trounced by USF in week 1. They were, I believe, number 25 going into week 1. They got destroyed. They are now unranked. I fully expect them to bounce back against Eastern Washington. Pretty much a layup game for them. Moving on to the Saturday slate here. Like I said, we have Florida International traveling to Happy Valley. The line is 42.5, and I don't think that that's generous enough, honestly. I think this could be a 50, 60-point blowout for Penn State. We're also going down to Texas, and we are going to San Jose State and Texas. Now, this is a rematch, I believe, of last year. I think in week 2, San Jose State did play Texas. San Jose State is a really, really good group of 5 team this year, but I don't think that they're going to be able to handle what Texas is going to bring them, especially after coming into the season ranked number 1, losing the first week 14-7 to Ohio State. I think San Jose State is unfortunately the meat, and Texas is the lion for this one. Moving on to number 11, Illinois at Duke. Now, this is a very tough game. This is one of the closer games to call this weekend, I would say. But give me Illinois at Duke. I know Duke has a really, really strong defense, a really, really strong secondary. They have Chandler Rivers, who's one of my favorite cornerback prospects. But Illinois, in their own right, Luke Altmaier and co. got off to a really, really strong start last week. I think that they're going to ride. I think that they're going to win 10, 11 games this year, honestly. They do have a pretty cookie-cutter schedule after this week until they play. I think they play either Oregon or Penn State. I don't remember, or both of them, honestly. But yeah, I do think that those would be the 1 or 2 losses that the Fighting Illini do get. So give me Illinois in this one away from home at Duke. East Texas A&M against Florida State. Florida State with a huge statement win in their return to football greatness last week over Alabama. They have soared up the rankings to number 14 in the country. I think this is going to be an absolute blowout. Doesn't even have a line next to it at Doak Campbell Stadium. So yes, give me Florida State over East Texas A&M. The Battle of Iowa. Iowa at Iowa State. Give me Iowa State. I think this team is rolling right along. Two impressive victories back to back. They do look like their offense, despite losing Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins, it looks like this offense has not missed a step at all. They have quite a few fantastic players on the defensive side as well. Dominique Orange, Jeremiah Cooper. This team is primed for a run back at the Big 12 championship game. So give me Iowa State over Iowa. Another really tough one here in Baylor and SMU. But I bet, you know what? I want to pick Baylor really bad, but their defense, especially their run defense, was really telling last week. And I think that SMU, especially with Kevin Jennings, is going to be able to exploit that defense quite a bit. So give me SMU over Baylor, and Baylor gets off to a really disappointing 0-2 start. Still think Sawyer Robertson is great, though. Kennesaw State traveling to Indiana. Give me Indiana over Kennesaw State. A much improved Kennesaw State team, I must say. But yeah, against Indiana. Indiana did actually disappoint a little bit last week. Not the most impressive victory for them, but I do think that they have to work a couple of kinks out. I mean, they have, a completely new backfield in Fernando Mendoza and Roman Hemby. So I fully expect them to lock in this week against Kennesaw State. Texas Tech and Kent State. Kent State's first victory over Merrimack. Their first victory in like 2 years or something like that. Yeah. And it wasn't very convincing, but obviously I'm going with Texas Tech. I just had to let everyone know that Kent State's victory was not impressive. So give me Texas Tech over Kent State. Minnesota and Northwestern State. Yeah, I mean, obviously, give me Minnesota. I think this team is going to be super impressive in the Big Ten this year. I love Drake Lindsay. I love everything that they got going on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, give me Minnesota. Virginia and NC State. This is actually not as easy of a call as I initially thought it was going to be, but give me NC State over Virginia. I really like what I saw from CJ Bailey in his first appearance this year. I think he's grown as a quarterback, and I think that he's going to lead NC State to a few more victories than we initially think they're going to get. Central Michigan and at Pitt, and Central Michigan had a surprising victory in week one, and they travel to Pitt now, who absolutely dominated. I always forget how to say that college's name. I'm not even going to attempt it. If you want to get a good laugh, try and go back to week one's predictions and listen to me try and pronounce that name. But yeah, give me Pitt over Central Michigan. They scored like 70 points last week. I fully expect Eli Holstein and co to keep riding that high. UConn at Syracuse. Honestly, give me UConn over Syracuse here. Despite the fight back against Tennessee, where it looked like it was going to be a massive blowout, it was like 17-0 very, very quickly. The Orange Men fought back quite a bit, but their defense just is so lackluster, I feel like. So give me UConn. I think UConn's a well-oiled machine. An independent team, cookie-cutter schedule for the most part, but I think that I don't want to say a powerhouse because they're really not, but I think that they're going to be a really, really good team this year. I think 9 wins is definitely in the horizon. You have Liberty at Jacksonville State. Give me Liberty over Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State has been pretty much decimated by the transfer portal and graduations. So, yeah, give me Liberty over Jacksonville State. Utah State at my Aggies. Yes, give me Texas A&M. Marcel Reed last week was impressive. There were 4 touchdowns last week, so I fully expect him to. He looks like he's developed a little bit more as a passer, so I expect him against a rancid Utah State defense. I fully expect him to throw 3 or more touchdowns. Again, give me Texas A&M. Western Carolina and Wake Forest. Obviously, give me Wake Forest, who had an impressive victory in week 1 as well. Howard at Temple, and I'll be honest with you, I was close. I was close to picking Howard. But Temple actually surprised me last week. It looks like they got a good thing going. It looks like they are slowly but surely developing yet again into a fairly decent program. Time will tell. But yes, give me Temple over Howard. New Mexico at Idaho State. Give me New Mexico. Ohio State against Grambling. I mean, this is going to be, where's the line on this one? I'd love to see what the heck is going to go on here. But yes, give me Ohio State. Georgia at Austin P at Georgia. An impressive victory for Austin P last week. I think they dominate by like 20 plus points last week. But obviously give me Georgia as a country powerhouse. Oregon hosting Oklahoma State. Give me Oregon. I feel like pretty much status quo. The offense, the line is really, really good. The weapons are great, even without Evan Stewart. The weapons are absolutely fantastic. The defensive line is awesome. Oregon look like they're going to be a national championship contender under Dan Lanning yet again. Clemson at Troy, a little bit of a disappointing showing for how talented the Clemson Tigers overall roster is last week, a 17-10 loss at LSU. It's a little bit impressive for LSU, and it's a little bit disappointing for Clemson, but I fully expect them to bounce back in a big way against Troy. Ole Miss at Kentucky. Kentucky broke my heart last week in my one upset pick that I did make last week. I did have the Kentucky Wildcats losing to the Toledo Rockets, and they did, even though they only won by a touchdown, they did take care of business. But I fully expect Austin Simmons and Ole Miss to go into Kentucky, into Kroger Field, and beat the Wildcats. Now you have Tennessee at East Tennessee State. Sorry, I keep getting that mixed up. East Tennessee State at Tennessee. Give me Tennessee, obviously. Keep rolling right along. I think Tennessee has a fairly easy schedule this year, so there's no reason why they can't win at least 8 games. Kansas at Missouri. Give me Kansas over Missouri in this one. I genuinely think that the Jayhawks have a really, really good roster. And I think Missouri, I feel like people are very hesitant in picking against SEC teams because it's the SEC. I think we've seen over the last year or so that the SEC isn't that bigger, better competition that we once thought it was. I think it's fully on par with the Big 10, Big 12, ACC, all that kind of stuff. So give me Kansas, who looked fantastic in the first 2 games of the season. Give me a big victory at Missouri. Miami of Ohio at Rutgers. Give me Rutgers. My closest D1 college football program that plays in the FBS is Rutgers. So a little bit of a hometown, a little bit of a homer, I guess you would say, even though I live in New York and Rutgers plays in New Jersey. That's all right. I root for the Jets. I'm a huge Jet fan, and I live in New York, and they play in New Jersey. So I guess it really doesn't matter. But yes, give me the Scarlet Knights over the Miami Redhawks. Moving on to Fresno State and Oregon State here. Fresno State kind of saw that I picked against them last week and clapped back at me pretty hard. I do think Fresno State Oregon State looked like a disaster with Malik Murphy under center, to be quite honest with you. Give me Fresno State going into Oregon State and beating them. Gardner Webb taking on Georgia Tech. Give me Georgia Tech in a big way. Haynes King, Jamal Haynes, Eric Rivers. I think this is a very, very solid offensive unit. Bowling Green at Cincinnati here. This was a tough one for me because I think Bowling Green are going to surprise a lot of people. But Brendan Sorsby and co., I think just the offense, Joe Royer, I think that they are going to be too much for the Bowling Green defense. So give me Cincinnati over Bowling Green. Colorado hosting Delaware here. Give me a bounce back victory for Colorado, who actually looked a lot better than I thought that they would against a very tough Georgia Tech team. I don't know. Some people were surprised that they lost. I mean, how could you be surprised? That Georgia Tech team is a ACC powerhouse this year, and Colorado is void of a lot of talent. But yes, give me Colorado over Delaware here. App State at Lindenwood. Is App State back, people? Well, obviously, I think they're going to be back this week at the very least and start 2-0. I think Dowell Loggins, the Dowell Loggins reign at the top for App State gets off to a really good 2-0 start. Texas State taking on UTSA. And give me maybe a little bit, I guess this isn't an upset because it's at UTSA, but give me UTSA over Texas State. I do think this offense is actually one of the most exciting, not only in the group of 5, but the FBS. I think Texas State gave up far too many points last week to a not so great opponent. So give me UTSA over Texas State in this one. Now you have UAB taking on Navy. Sorry, Trent Dilfer. I'm going with the quintuple option of Navy with this one here. Western Michigan and North Texas. Give me North Texas over Western Michigan. Both teams starting off 1-0. North Texas offense looked very, very impressive despite losing Chandler Morris in the offseason. It looked very, very impressive. And the defense, even though it's a small sample size, looked much improved. So give me North Texas over the Western Michigan Broncos with that one. St. Francis taking on Buffalo. Give me UBuff here on this one. Pretty straightforward. Same thing here. Bryant taking on UMass. Give me probably one of the only wins UMass is going to get this season against Bryant. I will take UMass here. Middle Tennessee State, who got absolutely destroyed by Austin P last week at Wisconsin. Give me Wisconsin. Whoa, give me Wisconsin all day long for that one. Western, West Virginia taking on Iowa here. Give me West Virginia. Iowa got absolutely decimated last week in a pretty surprising fashion. I believe the final score was like 40-6. West Virginia coming off of an impressive showing offensively. So I fully expect the West Virginia Mountaineers to continue that momentum going at Ohio. Northern Iowa taking on Wyoming. Give me the Cowboys on this one. Even though Northern Iowa actually have a very, very solid FCS program, give me Wyoming over them. Obviously, this is going to be a tough one. I think this is going to be one of the better games of the week, to be quite honest with you. You have the USF Bulls taking on the Florida Gators, who, I mean, they played Long Island last week, but they had a very, very strong showing. They blanked Long Island University last week. South Florida with a very impressive victory over Boise State. But give me Florida in a Battle of Florida, which is this is going to be a lot closer than I think, to be quite honest with you. Arkansas State taking on Arkansas. Man, I really want to take the Red Wolves here on this one, but I think Taylor Green is just going to make mincemeat of that Arkansas State defense, which is probably one of the worst in the conference. So give me Arkansas over Arkansas State. Sacramento State at Nevada. Again, another kind of tough one for me. I feel like Nevada could lose this game. Sacramento State seems like they are a hop, skip, and a jump away from moving up to the FBS level. But give me Nevada over Sacramento State. Southern Miss at Jackson State. Southern Miss got off to a very, very strong start last week against Mississippi State, even to the point where the announcer was saying, hey, which one of these two teams is in the SEC? And then Southern Miss got absolutely dominated after that. I think they lost 40-10 or something like that, 47-10. So I expect them to bounce. Charles Huff, I fully expect to have his squad bounce back. They looked exciting. The defensive line looked jumpy, looked energetic, looked like they can cause some real damage this year. So I think that they're going to be all right. Give me Southern Miss over Jackson State. Utah at Cal Poly, an extremely strong showing for Utah and Devin Dampier last week. Give me Utah over Cal Poly. Then you have California at Texas Southern. Cal is going to start off 2-0, I guess, huh? Give me Cal and their very exciting true freshman quarterback over at Texas Southern. Marshall at Missouri State. Give me Missouri State for their first FBS win at Marshall. This Marshall team is just, we knew they lost, 29 players through the transfer portal, 60 players overall. It was going to be very tough for them to come back and be just as good as they were last year. But give me Missouri State in an upset over Marshall. And you have Old Dominion and North Carolina Central. Give me ODU. Jeez, I keep doing that. ODU over North Carolina Central. Eastern Carolina at Campbell. Give me Eastern Carolina. Florida State at Florida A&M. Even though Florida A&M has a fantastic program in the FCS, give me Florida Atlantic. Miami over Bethune-Cookman. I mean, these we're getting into the point where these games are pretty much straightforward here. South Carolina with an extremely strong showing last week against, who did they play? Virginia, I want to say. Yeah. Give me South Carolina over South Carolina State. That is the alma mater of, Darius Leonard and Aaron Smith. You have North Carolina going at Charlotte, even though I do love Charlotte's overall logo. Give me North Carolina. Give me Unk University over Charlotte, and an embarrassing showing for Bill Belichick. But let's give it more than one game before we tarnish his legacy, please. They have a very easy schedule this year, so there's no way that they shouldn't win 8 games out of this schedule. So yes, give me North Carolina over Charlotte. Army at Kansas State. Tarleton State with a huge upset over Army last week. I think it gets worse for Army. I think even though Kansas State haven't looked great the first couple games of the year, I think that Avery Johnson and co are going to get the kinks out against Army. I think Army starts off 0-2. Give me Kansas State. Houston taking on Rice, who had a very impressive week 1 victory in their own right. But give me Houston. I love what Houston's doing with Connor Wegman, Tanner Koziel. I think this offense is a very, very cohesive unit. Give me Houston over Rice. North Carolina A&T taking on UCF. Give me UCF over North Carolina A&T. Western Kentucky at Toledo. Give me Toledo on this one. Don't let me down 2 weeks in a row there, Toledo and Tucker Gleason and co. I think Toledo does have the slight edge over Western Kentucky. Colorado State at Northern Colorado. Northern Colorado is Vincent Jackson's alma mater, if I'm not mistaken. R.I.P. Vincent Jackson, but I do believe he hailed from the University of Northern Colorado. Give me Colorado State. Memphis taking on Georgia State. I want to love this Georgia State team more. I just need to see more consistency from them. Give me Memphis over Georgia State for this one. Tulane over South Alabama. I think Tulane looks like a well-oiled machine with Jake Retzlaff at the helm. Long Island University against Eastern Michigan. So a little bit of an easier opponent for Long Island University this week, but I still think that Eastern Michigan gets the job done over them. They must be making bank for their university. Number 3, LSU coming off of an extremely impressive victory over Clemson. Give me LSU over Louisiana Tech. You know what really impressed me the most about LSU was the defense. The defense looked fantastic. If you remember Brian Kelly's first year, their defense was literally the worst in the SEC. Now, over the last couple of years, I mean, they brought in a ton of transfers. Mansour Delaney looks like a first-round cornerback in the 2026 draft class. You have Whit Weeks. You have Patrick Payton. Their defense is very, very legitimate this year. Arizona State taking on Mississippi State. A huge victory for them last week over Southern Miss, but give me Arizona State. Just an unbelievable showing on both sides of the ball for Arizona State. They look as good as they did last year. Michigan at Oklahoma. This is my game of the week here. Give me Oklahoma over Michigan. I wasn't too impressed with the overall performance of Michigan last week. It was a comfortable victory. Don't get me wrong. Bryce Underwood, I thought, looked really, really good. But give me Oklahoma and the way that they could just run all over this Michigan defense. Jaden Ott, John Mateer, I think that it's going to cause a huge problem for the front seven, even though the front seven of Michigan is very, very talented, littered with potential NFL talent, including Rayshawn Benny. Give me Oklahoma. Give me the Boomer Sooners over Michigan in this one. Auburn at Ball State at Auburn. I keep doing that. Give me Auburn. Virginia Tech taking on Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia, Eli Stowers. Give me Virginia Tech over Vanderbilt, though. This is one of those weird toss-up games for Vanderbilt this year where I think that they could go in and win. But at the end of the day, I do think Virginia Tech have a touch more, especially in Kyron Drones. I think they have a touch more talent on the offensive side than Vanderbilt does. Akron at Nebraska. Give me the Cornhuskers for this one. Georgia State at USC. Give me USC, which had a very, very strong showing. 73 points scored against Missouri State. Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane. Everyone looked fantastic on the offensive and defensive side for USC last week. Boston College at Michigan State. This is a tough one, but give me Michigan State. Aiden Chili's looked good last week. The overall team looked pretty cohesive, pretty sound. I worry about that offensive side of the ball. I don't worry about Aiden Chili's. I worry about the way that the offensive line is going to perform, but they held up last week. I think that they're going to be fine. I think that they're going to beat Boston College. That is a tough game to call, to be honest with you, but give me Michigan State over them. Southern Illinois taking on Purdue. Give me Purdue over Southern Illinois. Coastal Carolina Chanticleers taking on Charleston Southern. Give me Coastal Carolina. Louisiana Monroe at Alabama. I fully expect a bounce back victory from Ty Simpson and co. for Alabama. UCLA at UNLV. Give me UNLV over UCLA. I don't know why UCLA is favored in this one. I know they had a very, very tough week one opponent in Utah, but they got firmly decimated by that team on both sides of the football. There's no reason why this UNLV squad can't hold this UCLA team to about the same. Moving on to Louisiana and McNeese. Give me Louisiana over McNeese. Tulsa and New Mexico State is a tough one because both teams suck. I feel bad saying that. I'm sorry. Give me New Mexico State over Tulsa. Tennessee Martin at UTEP. Give me the Miners in that one. Weber State taking on Arizona. Give me Arizona. San Diego State at Washington State. Give me San Diego State in this one. Yeah, I do think, I don't know, Washington State didn't impress me last week. Would they play the Vandals last week and won by like 3 points? I think the San Diego State team actually has a pretty good offense. I think they go into Washington State and shock the Cougars. Stanford at BYU. Give me BYU over Stanford. Washington over UC Davis. And give me Sam Houston State over Hawaii. Sam Houston State need this victory pretty desperately. They started off 0-2. not a great showing for the first 2 weeks. Hawaii is a sneaky tough opponent with Michael Alejo, but I do think Sam Houston State needs needs at least one victory in this first 3 weeks, and they started off 0-2. So I think this is a must-win game for them already at the beginning of this year. So give me Sam Houston State, the Bearcats, over the Rainbow Warriors. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There are my picks for week 2 of the college football season. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I see you in the next one.